Namaskaram and welcome to episode number 68. Today is January the 6th, 2021. Welcome Sridhar Chityalaji. We are going to talk about a lot of things. Today is a very eventful day, isn't it?
Good morning, sir. Good morning to everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, or good night if you happen to be on the other side of the hemisphere. Yes, we have a lot to cover. I think we are reaching the climax point in terms of the outcome. We had the Georgia elections yesterday. The results have come in. I think one is official Warnock's victory against Loeffler, Kelly Loeffler. Purdue versus Ossoff, more or less trending towards an outright kind of. There's some little bit of votes, but one can predict that Senate seat to go to the Democrats. So it's a massive coup that's been pulled out by the Democrats in the Georgia, which is historically a red state. But it's not there is no surprise. Given what happened in the state of Georgia in terms of the presidential elections, a lot was at stake. More than $400 to $450 million of money, at least 400 million is a number that makes headline, went into the state election, and it was called as the battle for America and battle for progressive versus free market capitalism. The power that was a deterrent in the Senate will now effectively, all three branches, if nothing is contested, depending on what happens on January 6th, all three branches will align, and setting the stage for a very interesting day today in terms of determining the outcome of the most important presidential election itself.
Viewers, yesterday we released a hangout with a Georgia volunteer who works for US Impact, who claimed that up to $400 million was in play in these Senate runoff races. Think about it, two people running races, 400 million, that is close to $200 million that was spent by Democrats. Now, that kind of money almost makes me think that US is also becoming more like an election in India, where they basically buy votes. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that happened or not. I'm not on the ground to make that claim, but the amount of money, the insane amount of money that has been spent is just mind-boggling. So today is the D-Day in terms of what the Vice President Mike Pence is going to do. It could be the single most eventful thing that he ever did in his tenure as a vice president, isn't it?
It is the single most significant event ever to be done. I won't use the word ever to be done. There's been two presidencies, but in the most recent history, a vice president assuming the mantle, in clearing the course amidst a set of potentially conflicting scenarios that is presented to him in the conduct of the joint houses for the final counting and certification of the president.
So now it is expected that in the House there will be a challenge for the results for 6 states, and in Senate it's going to be for 3 states. Do you have any updates on those?
No, I think as of now, much of the opposition is coming from the House, and there is sufficient noise emanating from the Senate, but they could be holding things up their sleeve till the last minute, right? So clearly there's 3, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, and I forget the other, Kelly Briggs, Briggs from Arizona. So we have Arizona, we have Pennsylvania, and Loeffler had set for Georgia. So I don't know whether whether that's going to qualify, because she was the one who raced for Georgia. So therefore, whether it is 2, 3, or 4, we don't know. Certainly, Jim Jordan and Ted Cruz, obviously Josh Hawley would be leading the Senate kind of the objections. So the way the process would begin is that all the joint houses would meet under the vice president presiding over the joint houses and declaring that they're all here for this purpose. And the question will be asked, and then they will, by turn, state they will start the opening of the votes. Then, question will be asked whether people have any objections. That's when there's objections, and then they will break, and then the debate starts. We talked about this yesterday, and then one of the questions which you had asked, which I didn't answer, is the president had said we will present the most compelling evidence, right? Where exactly the president would come in and how that evidence, how he's going to present the evidence in front of the people, is still, there is no agenda item, and how that would be brought in. Even the legal team, which said that they would, have an opportunity to present. Whether the Senate, for example, because Jim Jordan is the only person who said, what is the objective? The objective is twofold. One, we want to highlight to the American people that the legislative branch is the only branch which is mandated by Constitution to conduct, frame the rules, conduct the election, certify, and send it. What we're going to demonstrate is, through the process in these 7 states, that there has been a consistent interference by the judicial and the executive branch almost till the last day, and basically violating the norms. Now, you go back to the judiciary to kind of validate what they did. They're not going to validate what they did. It's like going to Supreme Court and saying, you enacted the law, and saying, hey, why did you enact this law? So we want to go again. So there's nothing, they went to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has basically stated, solve this at the legislative level. I'm not going to be an arbitrator between the legislature and the Supreme Court. So on the procedural process and on the mandate of the Constitution, this is what people have mistaken and assumed. All the cases are dismissed because Supreme Court doesn't want to be involved and entangled in what is defined as a legislative process. So a legislature can overrule, right? Can overrule and say, hey, you don't have a business. This is my constitutional obligation. One of the things that Jim Jordan is going to point out is Michigan. The state legislature, if you recall, did not meet because they said some threat of violence. So the Republican senators were kept out, and there were a set of armed guards outside. They're going to point that out as well in this kind of presentation. This is what Jim's view is to say, okay, here's the first strand that has not been confirmed. What's the second strand? Second strand is, do we see fraud? Yes. In 3 strands, we've repeated without being repetitive, which we covered that yesterday. So what are the 3 areas? So therefore, this is the scope of the discussion and presentation, at least in the Senate, which we are clear. In House, how it takes shape, I don't know. We don't know as yet in terms of how this debate is going to be. But Nancy Pelosi has announced her 4 or 5 people who would be defending the elections against Mo Brooks' campaign. And there's more than 100, 105, or even 70 plus House Republicans ready to mount their offense on the invalidity of the elections.
Meanwhile, there has been a training intensification of the US Marines for a possible conflict with China off of Japanese islands. This is something that has been evolving over the last few days. What is the conflict? And this is something new, I think, because we've been talking about Taiwan, we've been talking about the LAC across India, and then we have also been talking about South China Sea. This is something new. Can you shed a little bit more light on this, sir?
Well, I think that it's fascinating. I don't know how many people, I'm sure that you must have picked up, depending on where you are in the mainstream media. Xi announced a few things. One is, economic expansion and COVID in 2021 as a priority. But he also made one important announcement. He asked his PLA to get ready for a war, on the 70th year anniversary of this CCP, Communist Party formation, 70th year. So therefore, where they will fight the war, potential 3 scenarios. Probably that this was brewing, this was coming. So the U.S. Armed Forces have been training, the Marines here have been training of some islands, and they were very candid. We are preparing for a potential war with China. So we're training ourselves rather than sitting in front of computers and simulating and so on. We are here on ground and getting ourselves acclimatized in case there is a war with China. So it's very interesting observation. Given all the skirmishes that we have, China skirmishes in the region, China skirmishes in Himalayan kingdom, China skirmishes in South China Sea, the profound arrests that are going on within Hong Kong, there is definitely a kind of some flashpoint looming, in that specific region.
And to take a look at other parts of the globe, India plans to deploy nuclear-capable Agni missiles that can be pointed towards Beijing. This is a new development.
It is. I think that India has now recognized that in most of the flashpoints, the withdrawal did not occur as contemplated. If you recall, there was this, and then they said they would have an orchestrated withdrawal. It didn't happen, right? And I think India played this game very well. They occupied the strategic heights and so on. So therefore, India has played this game very well, knowing that the China is not going to budge and they only want us to withdraw and slacken. They said, no, we're not moving unless you kind of move. So now they feel that China has now got its surface-to-air missile batteries, plus it has moved its new drones, and they have equipped themselves with their battery of Air Force in the border, and they've also they have also enhanced the capacity in Tibet, which is one of the main bases for them to come from that side of the border. So India is now saying, okay, fine. Okay, you're doing that. We have got BrahMos missile batteries. We got the Rafale fleet. I think they also ordered some 83 more, light Sukhoi jets, which are armed with BrahMos missiles. So we are now kind of, we are ready. Then we have Chinook helicopters. Then we also have we are just going to lease the planes from the ships of United States. We also have drones. India has also got drones deployed. So this is why India is saying, okay, you want to do that? We also have, full kind of capabilities. We are prepared. So this is the one. The most recent one is, okay, you want to fully load as a deterrence, because this is a nuclear. There's a first strike. There is a India-China agreement on the use of nuclear missiles. So India has what you call no right of first. India doesn't use a right of first choice. India only uses as a deterrent. So India says, I will now have these Agni 5 missiles loaded with nuclear-capable missiles. And in case you try to do something, then we can apply as a deterrent mechanism. It's a very dangerous development, but it's also a reflection that India is prepared to step up and not be submissive. And the Xi Jinping statement is not very helpful to the world in terms of openly saying to his army, PLA, to get ready for a war in 2021. So there's only 3-4 areas where they can fight a war. They're not going to come to the United States and fight a battle. They may do that in different ways. But as far as the physical war is concerned, you're talking about Taiwan, for which Suga had said Taiwan is a red flag both to Biden as well as to Trump. Okay. While we have this, we also have Nimitz, which we covered yesterday, parked in the Middle East, in the Persian Gulf, with uranium enrichment going on, and they have enriched and they have reached 20% capacity per the IAEA. Plus Iran threatening President Trump, in terms of he will be dead in few days, and potential flashpoints with the new accord between Qatar and the 3 nations in the West Asia.
Yes, that is a significant development. The long-standing dispute between Qatar and Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has been resolved. Both sides signed it off yesterday. So that augurs that West Asia is going to find more peace. While we are at it, there's also an interesting development from Nepal. The Nepal foreign minister is going to be visiting India in another sign that relations between India and Nepal are improving. And you add to this the fact that the CCP leaders were rebuffed and they were sent back shows that I think Nepal has made up its mind that it needs to align itself with India. What are your thoughts?
Well, it seems, I think, that there are two things that happened. One is, I think, far more than India, that a vast number of the Nepalese don't like to see their Hindu state to be. I mean, there's a lot of people in streets talking about, trying to alter that course on that with the communist regime. So there's a lot of opposition. That's number one. Number two is that they recognized that some of the border posts were occupied, and there was probably a lot of complaints from either the farmers or peasants in that specific region. And so the Communist Party itself, which was brokered, the peace that was brokered between Oli and his name is Prachanda, was basically, patch meal. And that seems to have tethered. And Oli is also recognizing that he can kind of sustain this type of not only the internal pressure, but from the pressure of the people. So therefore, or he's saying, I'll wait for my turn, when I get my turn, because he suspended the parliament and new elections to be held. So, and then there was visits by Indian, what you call national security advisor. There's also a visit by the head of the defense forces. I don't know whether there was a visit by external affairs minister, but certainly those two. And then subsequently, there's been, visits from the Nepalese side. So the story is that they've now prepared themselves. They say, okay, we need now to work out, bilateral understanding, because India is a significant support player to Nepal. So my view is that things seems to be patching up, and should there be, and also there was this recent discussions that Modi held with Nepal, Bhutan, and including Bangladesh, in terms of integrating as a kind of an economic zone and providing logistics and those kinds of support. So it looks like Nepal is trying to patch up and, at least perceptively, and see if should there be a war, then which way it goes. How much United States has played a role, we don't know, but I will not be surprised if US has played a role. It's very significant that $1.2 billion of that $55 billion of unfunded or that delineated commitments is actually targeted towards spending and selection of Dalai Lama and then also helping the Tibetan government in exile in India in the establishment of its a democratic process. So there's some money that is also gone in by way of functional support. Chinese do not give money free. They extract a significant price whenever they give money, whereas the United States grants this aid only as a strategic partner. So that could also be at play, sir.
Let's take a look at what's happening on the COVID scenario. Now the COVID cases are rising to about 86.7 million. We have 23 million active cases. We also have told on our channel that Boris Johnson will not be visiting India. This happened about 10 days ago. So there you go again. You get tomorrow's news today from PGurus. I'm just blowing my own trumpet here. The interesting thing here is this claim by the WHO chief that he is disappointed that China did not allow the WHO inspectors to visit for coronavirus people to go in and take a look at the lab. I mean, should we attach any significance to this statement, or is it something just like, you do this and I'll also rattle the saber?
I think with defeat looming for Trump, China suddenly finds itself that it is the unilateral power in existence. In the period 2009 to 2016, it consolidated its power when United States was distracted and gave a free rein. That's when South China Sea, Indo-Pacific, all these expansion events occurred, unbristled. And United States was embroiled with, what is that, the right phrase that I can use, the Syrian conflict, the Iraqi kind of conflict, and the new revolution that brought droves and tons of refugees into Europe and all over the place. It was so distracted. And then, of course, we also had the so-called Libyan war at that point of time, Libya, Algeria, Benghazi. There's a lot of things that went on at that point of time. So what Sree is saying is, now I am the boss. Okay, I dictate. So therefore, you guys are not going to come in and basically audit and investigate and tell me what I did wrong. Okay, I did no wrong, and so therefore, there's nothing for you to come and do.
On COVID, India has also approved its own vaccine now, and it is also working on an app that will sort of monitor for the country how things are going on. It's called CoWIN, and there will be more data that will be published in the days and weeks to come. This is certainly a good development on part of India, right? I mean, India is now getting ready to be the vaccine supplier for the whole world.
Tremendous, very, very positive development for India. 2 vaccines I think there's probably 2 more in the pipeline. And they're also now contemplating a vaccine, which is a direct insertion into your nasal, which gives you an immediate or a much faster recovery process, and also mitigates the need for injections being through a process of injections. Brazil is the latest person who has signed up with India. They were going down Pfizer route, then they looked at Moderna, but they have now changed. So Brazil becomes the latest country to sign up with India. Of course, there's quite a few other countries which have signed up, including some of the European countries. As you know, Sputnik, the Russian one, is going to be also made in India. So India is clearly on that biopharma or biotech sector. I think it is going to be the vaccine lab of the world, or the vaccine manufacturer of the world. So clearly 2 sectors, mobile and this COVID vaccine scenario, India looks fairly well positioned to take things forward. I think India also has done a tremendous job relative to the rest of the world in terms of containing the virus. Generally, when you talk to people, people seems to be freely moving about, unfearful of the consequences of this. And I would also say India is the only country which is open. There's no other news in the world. Everywhere, everybody is shut because of the COVID, especially the strand 2. The strand 2 viruses is now even in New York, and it is now sweeping the rest of the world. I think close to 60,000 or 70,000 cases in one day detected in UK. So it seems to be engulfing the rest of the world.
And we will keep you posted on all this and more. And let's take a quick look at markets as to how they are reacting to the Georgia Senate runoff race. What is the markets telling us? What are the markets telling us now?
There are 4 important readings that we see. First and foremost, for the first time, which we have been publishing, which we didn't put today, is the Treasury rates has gone past 1%. We have been tracking it since about 0.5, 0.6. So it's steadily, it went up. What that means is that a lot of money is going to come in, and there is going to be currency depreciation. Okay, that's number 1%. Oil prices for the first time went up. Crude, that is above $50, and it just tilted below 50 right now. And so therefore, that's the second parameter, which is to say, hey, there's more money being put in. So obviously there is cash in hand, so people can spend a little more, and therefore they can, allocate that to the fuel. That's number 2. The third parameter that is, the third indicator that is coming through is, this is from Goldman Sachs, which is reporting, they can see with Senate now potentially in the control of the Democrats, an injection of $600 billion more as an immediate release for that $2,000, $600 to $2,000. And they may even extend it to unemployment and all those kinds of things, which was not within the purview, right? So that's the third parameter. Fourth is the markets, which everybody expected a dip of close to 1,000 points. They have not still digested. There is a marginal up in the Dow, and there is almost neutral in S&P and NASDAQ. So what happens in the next couple of days, we will know how the market absorbs. In the meanwhile, if you're a Bitcoin holder, just in the last 1 week, we have gone from somewhere we tracked at 21, 22, now we are at 35,000. So somebody is making a lot of money. And a lot of the money is actually, without going into the technicalities, a lot of the money is coming from institutional investors and those who have sat on the margins, taking the cash and putting the money into Bitcoin, which is nothing more than a play tool, nothing more. I mean, it is not a tradable commodity. It's not like gold. It's not It's not like oil. So therefore, a lot of the money, and so it is driving the prices up.
With that, we bring today's segment to a close. We'll be watching what's going to play out in the Senate and in the Congress today. And tomorrow we'll have a cracker of a session where we will analyze the decision that was made that will be made by Mike Pence today, and also some more data on what is going to happen on the Georgia Senate races. Clearly, one seat appears to be trending Democrat. The other one is very, very close. It may result in a recount, but be that as it may, we still have to wait for this process to finish. Thanks for joining. Please subscribe to our channel and donate to our cause. Namaskar. Thank you very much, Sridharji.
Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day and an exciting day ahead for us and an exciting tomorrow for us.